Hi. Nope, that's about to start. Welcome back to another episode of Audio Description Fashion Review. We are still on the first episode of Canada's Drag Race, and now we are on the runway, and we're just going to jump straight into it. So, first out on the runway is the judges, and for some reason, the way this show likes to present all the judges is all on screen at the same time, just really quick flashes of their outfits, and then they're sitting behind a desk for all the judging. So I had to do a lot of pausing to look up closer what they're wearing. Obviously the show doesn't think it's important. So I'm going to start with Stacy. She's wearing this silver dress. It has a kind of division on the waist, so you can't quite tell if it's a dress or if it's a top and a skirt that are separate, but it's very seamless and it's exactly the same fabric and color. It's not the shiniest silver, it's kind of they'd call it like a brushed metal kind of thing, so it's reflecting the light, but in a kind of muted way, so it reads as it's quite elegant. The top part, it's all quite tight fitting to the body with a round neck, and then it's got these kind of dark black grey vertical stripes. They look almost like someone took like a piece of tape and just put tape all over the top of it. When you look up close, these taped sections they're completely stoned. The black ones and the red ones, and there are some blue ones around the back and a kind of goldy green one on her right arm towards the back, but from a distance it really just reads as tape. It's like exactly the same thickness as if you took like a piece of tape, so I think that's unfortunate. This whole look is not her best. And then the skirt section of the dress has diagonal red tape stripes, but only on her left. It's very asymmetrical. It's a kind of orangey red. The skirt itself is quite short, maybe 3/4 of the way down her thighs, and it's tight to the body the whole way down. Then it's got sleeves, so the sleeves actually aren't tight to the arms, which is an interesting choice, so they kind of just hang halfway down her arms. In the silver, the left one has some kind of faded red stripes on it. It is the same red, but it's not as solid a stripe, so that's an interesting choice. She's got dark sheer black tights on. They look fine. She's got some strappy black shoes. They look fine. They've got little spikes on them or something, but they're very unnoticeable because they just kind of cover the toe, and then there's a strap halfway up the foot and a strap around the ankle. Obviously, straps around the ankles can make your legs look shorter, but because she has such long legs, she can do that, and the skirt is quite short, so you're getting a lot of leg length. Her arms are out, looking great. Her face looks great. She's in a red lip again. That red lips definitely is like her go-to because it really works, but of course the rest of her face looks like she's hardly wearing any makeup at all. Then her hair is completely cornrowed back, and it looks great. It just looks very neat, very out of the way because she's serving face. Next up is Brooke Lynn. So Brooke comes out in, it might be a reference to the things that she wore on her season, because on her season she wore this look that was a dark blue latex thing with neon yellow straps around it. So she's wearing neon yellow straps around her neck, and then straight down her front to her waist, and then around her waist. Her nails are in the same neon yellow, so that's a nice touch. Underneath these straps she's wearing a dress that's like denim. It's just different patches of denim, so it's kind of a bustier flat to the chest, down into the waist underneath the belt, and then a kind of tutu that's just very patchy, very frayed edges. It's in a lot of different colored denims. They're all denim blue, but there's some pale and some dark. Some of them have stitching around them, like they look like they're actually from a pair of jeans. There's parts that look like jean pockets and stuff, so that's an interesting look. Then her legs are out, it's bare skin, so that it looks great. And then a simple pump shoe, so that makes her legs look quite long. I don't know why the red though. And then she's got one big sparkly silver bracelet on her right arm, and big sparkly silver earrings that are kind of hoops. That they match quite well. They look like they're from the same set or something like that. Then her wig is amazing. That's an expensive wig. So it's got a dark natural brown root that fades quite quickly into a yellow blonde. It's all swooped to her left over her shoulder and all the way down to her waist. It's got a natural curve, and it just looks like real human hair, which is a great quality wig. And I like that it's down over one of her shoulders because the dress doesn't cover her shoulders, so it's quite nice to have something there. And then her face is just well, this is our first time seeing Brooke in drag makeup this season, so I can't say, oh, it just looks like a typical Brooke face. I'm going to describe it as quite highlighted. It's very soft because she has quite a handsome masculine face out of drag. She really carves away at it when she's in drag. She transforms her face completely. It's very dark around the hairline, it's very dark around the jaw, but it also looks very skin tone, so it's very well done. Her nose is pinched all the way down. Her eyebrows are snatched up quite high. She has quite a severe brow. Her eyelids are covered in a matching neon yellow with a cut crease, so it's like solid neon yellow for the whole upper eyelid, and it comes down the inside corner of the eye, which I think is good because it's such a bright yellow, and they always say you should have bright colors on the inside of your eye to make them look more open. I don't know exactly what that means, but that's what she's doing. Above the crease of her eyelid is a dark aubergine purple color, which I'm not sure why. It contrasts, like we talked about with Lemon's entrance look, that the purple and yellow are very contrasting, but this time it doesn't really make sense because there's no purple anywhere else in the outfit. And she's got the red shoes, so if this had a purple shoe, it would make more sense. It would read as a coherent idea of the purple and the yellow. Also, I think the purple, because purple's quite similar to blue, it looks like a slight mismatch with all the denim. She should have either gone for a blue or gone really far away from the blue, like with a red or something, I don't know. Her lips, when she's out of drag, her lips don't look plumped or anything, but in drag they look plump, so that's impressive. They're in a kind of, it's like my least favorite color. It's like a natural lip pink, but really exaggerated and obviously drawn beyond the natural edges of her lips to make them look bigger. And they're very glossy as well, so it almost, yeah, they look like she's just made them look like real lip color if you had your lips plumped. So I mean, that's talented. I'm looking up close. Her hairline is completely, you can't tell where this wig starts. It looks like it's growing out of her head. And her the right side of her wig that's above her exposed ear is braided back, which I think is a good way of making it reliably stay out of the way. And it's only noticeable when you look up close that some of the hair in the wig lower down on her shoulder is in this same neon yellow. Obviously, because blonde is quite a yellow color, it's not instantly noticeable, but that neon yellow in her hair completely matches with the neon yellow straps and the neon yellow of her eye makeup, so it matches really well. And the last judge out is Jeffrey. He's in a black, this time it's not a sports suit, it's like a real suit, so it's just a black blazer, but it's quite a light black. I guess you'd call it a gunmetal grey or something like that. It's very, a very dark grey, but you would probably call it black, but it reflects the light without being shiny. Sorry, these words are terrible, but it reads as black, but a light black. And then matching trousers that are very well fitted, tailored to him. Then black shoes, they're absolutely black, very dark black. The shirt underneath the blazer is also in a matte dark black, so it just, overall the look is just black and it all matches really well. And then his face and hands look like his normal face and hands. He obviously, at this point in the series, he's not really doing any experimental makeup, which he might attempt later. So he just looks very airbrushed, very polished, very smooth. And then his hair is in black as well, of course, his natural black hair color. So overall the look is very chic. This is one of his better looks. He looks like he's there to judge a competition. You have to have a certain kind of elevated look in order to start judging other people's looks, so this was good for him. I actually think he looks the best of the judges for his job of being a judge, whereas Brooke looks the best if she was walking the runway as a contestant on the show, and Stacy, I think she actually looks the worst out of the three, but it's okay. She still looks good. It's just the other two really stepped up their game from their entrance looks. Next out onto the runway is the guest host of the episode, Elisha Cuthbert. I have no idea who she is, but she looks good. So she's in a asymmetric, bright, hot pink dress. So it's up high on her right shoulder where it has a bow, and then the neckline swoops down across her chest to her left shoulder where it goes underneath her arm. And that sleeve, it looks like she could pull it up over her shoulder. It's just kind of hanging there. The sleeves of the dress are tight to her arms until they get to the cuffs, and then they kind of flare out. The whole thing is in this really hot pink. It's really tight to the body until about the hips, and then it kind of loosens a bit. The hem at the bottom is asymmetrical on her left side where the shoulder is lower. The hem is higher, so I think that was a good way of kind of offsetting it. So it doesn't look lopsided, it looks intentional, and that hem just goes in a diagonal line down the front of her legs to her right hand side where it hits the floor, that's quite a steep diagonal line. It's going from like her knee all the way down to the floor, and it drags a little bit on the floor. I think she's a little on the shorter side, maybe slightly below average, and I don't know if this dress was custom made, but I don't think it was. It looks a little big on her. She's in some very low cut round the toes black shoes. They're very pointy. They seem to have a silver line right round the sole of the shoe. I don't know how I feel about that. And what she's really selling to us is this hair. So her hair definitely starts as her natural hair. You can tell that she's naturally got a kind of light brown, dark blonde hair color that's started to grow out at the roots and then is bleached to a much lighter yellow blonde, and the whole thing is tied up into a high ponytail with a black fabric wrapped around the ponytail so that it stands up vertically and then cascades down behind her. But I think the part of her hair that cascades down is not, I think most of that is fake hair. So it's a very solid colored platinum blonde that there just seems to be a lot of it. I don't think she has that much hair. So she's whipping around this as she walks down the runway. She's whipping it around and she's tossing her hair and all this fake hair, so it looks great. She's really selling the moment. Her makeup is very pretty. It's very simple. It's very minimal. It's just very smooth. Her eyebrows are shaped nicely, but it looks like her natural brow that's just been shaped nicely in a dark blonde color. I think it's been filled in a bit, and then she's got like a black lash and black eyeliner, but really like not much above that, and then maybe a slight lip gloss and a slight blush, but she's not wearing much at all. And then just a little diamond earring or some kind of crystal. It's just like a little stud in her earlobes, and I think that looks great. It's very minimal. She's got one ring on either hand in a kind of silver, diamondy, sparkly color. They're very subtle, they're not very noticeable at all, and they match with the earrings. It's a pretty good look. She's not competing, so I'm not gonna be rude. She looks fine. So now we're gonna move on. First up, Anastarzia Anakwe. And she comes out in a red. So remember that the contestants have made all of this themselves, so whatever I say is going to be really impressive because they made them, you know, in that day or 2 days or whatever it is. So she comes out in a red leotard in a kind of, it's a shimmery, metallic, reflective material, but still stretchy. It fits very well to her body. You can't see most of it because she's wearing a cloak jacket thing over the top, which we need to talk about. So I think they must have been supplied with this quilted padded material. It looks like a sleeping bag or something, and she's got it so that it covers up the top half of her body and sticks out to the sides with these kind of shoulder pad pointed areas, and then the hem at the bottom reveals the lower half of her body but then curves downward at the edges so that she can have a full cape at the back of this red, shiny, metallic quilted material. The inside is lined in white. It's got a zip down the front of the middle that's in a kind of silvery white, and it's got a maple leaf on her right hand side that is a red maple leaf with a white outline. So this is all very cohesive. Her legs are padded and covered in tights, and the match seems pretty good. It's got a slight white shimmer to it over brown skin, which I think looks fine. And then she's wearing what it looks like socks, but I think she's cut them to be leg warmers. Just below the knee, all the way down to the shoe, is this red and white striped, quite thick stripes. Like, they look like sports socks or something. I think the whole look kind of reads as sports, like a sports mascot or something. And then she's got black shoes that stick out underneath these leg warmer socks, and it's the only black in the outfit, so it was strange. I think that really took away from him. Her makeup is fine, the skin looks really good, she's highlighted and contoured. The chin highlight, which I'd mentioned previously as being a little extreme, seems much more buffed out now, so that's good. Her eye makeup is very red, which I think matches the look, so it's just a completely red lid, and then above the lid it is red fading into a highlight underneath the brow. The brow is a quite high up, quite arched, natural brown colour. Her lips are in... I mean, this is the second lip that she's done in this exact... It looks exactly the same as the lips that she did for her entrance look, so it's like a dark pink around the outside, fading to a lighter bright pink in the middle with this really strong white highlight. Now, I don't think that matches the look at all, because it's such a red look. Everything is red, but the lips are still pink. The wig she's got on is very wiggy. I think she went to that plastic bright colored wig shop that all the others were going to, and she bought this kind of, it's like a clown wig really. So it's like a round straight bob cut. I think it's got a slight dark brown root, but it really very quickly goes into this bright red. It's the same red as the outfit. It's really shiny and plastic, so it kind of reads as... She's got this like metallic material all over her in the sleeping bag padded area and on the leotard bodysuit underneath, but her hair is just as shiny as that, so it's just a lot of shiny red. When she lifts her arms up from underneath the cape, you can see that she's got red and white striped sock leg warmers on her arms as well, which I think is great because it matches with what she's got on her legs, and they seem to cover her whole lower arms and goes onto her hands, and just her fingers are sticking out with very long, very pointy white nails glued on, and I think that's great because you just want that touch of white so that when she puts her hands on her hips, she's got the white against the red background, which really is what this look is all about. It's just little white touches on a red background. But really, I would say this look is really good. It looks really well made. The only problem I would have is that the wig looks a little cheap and the lips don't match with anything, but that's it. The rest is great, so I would put her... I mean, so far she's the best look we've seen because she's the first look, but I think she's definitely one of the better looks. I will say that the lashes that she's wearing on her upper and lower lashes are huge. When she blinks, they like move the sides of her wig that is just straight down around the outside of her face. That's how big they are, so they're just... I think it was worth noting. From a distance you definitely can't tell. It just looks like black around the eyes, which is perfectly normal for this show, but it's just all the lashes. Next up is Kiara, and she is wearing a lot. Where do we start? So her body seems to be painted gold. She's just painted her skin gold. Then she's wearing a corset that's in a kind of buff gold, like a matte gold color, and it's just got like sporadic sunflowers stuck to it, so they're a very dark brown in the middle, and then these bright yellow petals around the outside. So it kind of reads, it's quite, you know, the color scheme of those together is quite cohesive. The gold and the yellow and brown, that's all kind of similar colors. The bottom of the corset randomly flares out. It looks like she's just stuck lots of stuff to the bottom of it, like little petals or something. I don't know why it sticks out like that. It's not flattering. Then underneath the corset, the skirt that she's wearing, which matches the face mask that she's got on, that's just kind of tied around her lower face in this gingham red and white picnic blanket kind of thing. The skirt's very messy. It looks like she's tied bows or knots or something in the top of it to give it more volume, but it just looks messy. And then underneath that, it's just like a solid skirt shape. It goes down to about her knees. The hem is not perfectly straight. It's a little wonky. Underneath that, you can see her legs coming out. She's definitely wearing tights. The kind of yellow toned tights. I mean, she painted her whole self gold, so the slightly yellow brown tone of the tights matches quite well with that. It looks quite similar. It's just that the tights are very matte and that the rest of her skin has more of a sheen to it. Then she's got these boots on. They go almost all the way up to the knee in gold. It's a slightly green toned gold, so it looks very... There's something about the warm tone golds that read very earthy, and green toned golds read very like technology and cyber and stuff like that, so I don't think the shoes go with this look at all. It really looks like her shoes are from some kind of futuristic sci-fi, and the rest of her is from, she looks like a Victorian scarecrow or something. We can talk about her hat because she's wearing a very big orange velvet top hat, which I don't think goes with anything, but it's a great hat. Out of the top of this hat is wheat. I think it's just wheat. She just found some wheat and stuck it in the top of her hat. And wheat is in a kind of the same color as her corset. Actually, it's a really good match of colors. This kind of dull golden matte buff color. But the orange hat is a mystery. I don't know why she did that. Her makeup that we can see above her face mask, you can just see her nose poking out. So you can tell this was filmed before lockdown, because that's not how you wear a face mask. So her nose is poking out, it's very contoured down, her skin is slightly golden toned, her eyebrows are invisible or also golden toned. This is the second look she's done where her eyebrows are questionable choices, so I can't really see any eyebrow there at all. The only thing I can see is the makeup underneath the eyebrow around the eyes, which is in orange, which matches with the hat that's in the velvet orange, but it doesn't match with anything else, so that's strange. While I'm here looking up close, you can see that there is some wheat coming out of the top of her corset, just a little bit. There is some flowers coming out of the bottom of her face mask, which just looks like they must just be stuffed underneath there or something. That's a strange choice. And there are also some matching flowers glued to the side of her hat, kind of towards the back. I don't know why. I mean, I know why because it makes the hat match, but like, why did she pick that hat in the first place? The last thing to talk about, I don't think she's wearing any earrings or necklace or anything, unless that flower underneath the mask is part of a weird necklace. So we're going to talk about her wig, which is great. This is a great wig, but I don't think it goes with this look at all. So it's a completely dreadlock wig in a kind of baby pink, and then a tangerine orange, and a warm blue-green color. It's kind of I love this green color. It's almost blue, but it's got kind of yellow undertones to it, so it still reads as green rather than a aqua or turquoise. It's maybe more like an aquamarine color. It's very warm. It just reads as warm. The pink and orange also read as warm, but I don't know. Those colors just have nothing to do with the rest of this look, but it is a great wig. Whoever did this wig for her obviously envisioned it with a different look. You can't really see her hairline or anything like that because of the hat. I think I see that the dreads have a kind of slightly darker root. It might have been originally one colored wig, and that the dreads have been individually colored rather than sticking them on as separate things. So she pulls off the face mask. I'm so glad she did, because this look now slightly makes a bit more sense, but it really didn't make sense with it. So underneath the face mask you see her mouth makeup, which is vertical orangey brown lines, kind of where her teeth would be, but on the outside of her mouth. I think it's supposed to make her look like a pumpkin or something, but it reads as like a skull, so that's interesting. But you can also see underneath the gingham face mask is a gingham shirt collar, which I don't think she made herself. I think there was a shirt in what she was given, and she's kept the collar of it. And indeed, the shirt collar just has two of the sunflowers stuck to it, so they were actually part of her. I mean, I guess we're calling this a kind of pseudo necklace. This whole look is really surreal. It's just a mess. Oh, when she turns around, you can see the back of her corset has some random green leaves stuck to it, and the back of her wig has some purple dreads in it. And I think that makes the look even more confusing. Oh dear. So we're just going to move on. Next onto the runway is Lemon. And overall, she comes out and you get an instant impression of yellow, because it's lemon. It's always a lot of yellow and a lot of pink, and that's kind of the only colors that we're working with here, so I'd say that's a strong concept to start with, but this look is not great. So we're going to start with her upper chest and shoulders that are covered in what looks like sports armor, so that's just like hard plastic pads that they wear to play sports. I think she sprayed them herself to be pink, because I don't think they would have given them to her in pink. They kind of cover her chest like down to her nipples, and then the same length down on her arm. So I have nothing good to say, but I don't know what she's wearing there. So underneath that, she's wearing a yellow corset. It's not really corseted in, and it's an interesting yellow where it's a slightly orange yellow, but it's not great. It's just not a great color, and it really doesn't corset her in at all. So it's like just a tube around her, and then she's got a belt around it that looks like it's made out of like a washing up line or something like that. It's a bright yellow rope, and it's just wrapped around her and then tied in a knot and then like hanging down on the side, and on her other side it's holding up a hot pink like sack. So that's, I don't know why she did that. Underneath that, she's just wearing like a little panty thing that's white. It's got some stripes of color on it. I think I can see pink and yellow, but really not much more than that. Then her legs are out until about 3/4 of the way down her thigh, and she's wearing these very high neon yellow stockings. We'll go with stockings, it's more femme. And these just cover her legs all the way down, including her feet, where she's wearing a strappy, well, like a single strap around the ankle pink shoe, and then it looks like there's a clear plastic thing that goes over her toes, which I think was a pretty good shoe choice for this. But this look overall, it's kind of sloppy. It just looks like she's piled stuff on. It's quite sloppy. Her wig is in a bright lemon yellow, scraped away from the face into 2 ponytails on either side with okay, it looks like the things that she's got these like pink things stuck in the roots of her ponytail, and I really couldn't tell what they are, and I still can't, but they look like they're made of paper or shuttlecocks or something. Like it's like a plastic netting thing. It looks like she's cut them apart and pulled them open to stick them in her hair. I don't think it was a great choice. They kind of read as like Chinese fans. It's that kind of shape, just sticking in her hair. Anyway, her yellow ponytails are coming out from those, and they're quite long, so they're going from quite high up on her head on either side all the way down to past her shoulders. She's flipping her hair around a lot. Her earrings are they are shuttlecocks, so she definitely sprayed those into a bright pink, and I don't know how she attached it to her ears, but that was really smart to use what she was given. Her makeup is very soft skin tone. Her skin tone everywhere, including on her legs and arms and hands and face and everywhere, is like matching really well, so I really can't tell where she's wearing foundation or not. It just all looks exactly the same. I can't really see any highlight or contouring. Her eye makeup is very dramatic, so she's got a cut crease that kind of goes out into a smoky, I guess she's blended from hot pink into yellow, but when you blend those colors together, you get a lot of orange, a kind of reddy orange color. So her eyes read is like a reddy orange color that fades up into yellow next to the brow, and then the brows are black. So this is like her entrance look, where she's done a very dark natural color brow with her neon bright hair, which I think is smart because it just looks like a natural brow. Her lips are in the same hot pink, so I think she's done really well at matching her makeup colors to her outfit. I just think her outfit's quite sloppy. She walks the runway carrying a hockey stick. She's also sprayed that bright pink, but I don't really have anything to say good or bad about that. It's the same pink. She's done a really good job of matching all the pinks. But she didn't do a great job of matching all the yellows, because this yellow corset is just not working. It really is almost orange, but the rest of the yellow that she's got on is like really neon yellow, so that's unfortunate, and we will move on. Next to the runway is Ilona Verley wearing a lot of grey. It's quite a matte blue toned grey. It starts as straps on her shoulders, and then the neck is a plunging round neckline. It goes past her nipples and down, curves into the middle there. Her nipples are covered in like a copper orange metallic nipple covers. I don't know where she got those from, but the grey straps that curve down go into a very form-fitting dress. She's quite curvy, and I think she's padded as well, so it really comes in at the waist and then goes out a lot for the hips. It looks great as she walks because it's very almost fluid snake-like movements when you're wearing something like this. it goes down to about her knee before it starts to flare outwards, and it stops just a little bit above the floor, but not enough to see her shoes. But I think it would have benefited from being like an inch longer. That would have been great. Then around her neck she's got this kind of leather colored, like a tanned leather, coppery color, very warm, very dark, very autumnal orange collar that has lots of straps like loose hanging off it, like tassels, but very long tassels. Then she's got more tassels coming from the middle of her plunging neckline, and some tassels coming from her shoulders before she has bare skin arms, and then cuffs around her wrist made of this same orange material with tassels coming off those. All the tassels that are hanging off her in these various points go down to the floor. So it's very impactful, but I don't know if it reads as very elegant, because they kind of, they tangle as they move around. It's a bit messy, it's a bit hodgepodge. But the color of the cool toned gray and the very, very warm orange is a very high contrast, so I think that was very smart. We could talk about a wig, which starts with a center part in a kind of bleach blonde, slightly plasticky, but we won't hold that against her because it's very, very long and it's very, very straight, and it fades into this orange that almost matches the orange that she's wearing. Not quite, but that's an expensive plastic wig. Then her makeup is very soft, very highlighted. She's got thick, straight brows in a natural kind of grayish brown color, but they look very naturally drawn in, like they're not harsh lines, like she's drawn in all the hairs. And then underneath that, she's drawn like a fake eye underneath her eye to extend what looks like her actual eyeball, and then she's done eye makeup around the outside of that with a black winged liner, and then a very pale peachy cut crease into a dark orangey pink eyeshadow below the brows. It doesn't read as the same orange as what she's wearing, it's much pinker. And then she's got a very subtle pink blush that goes into her contouring and highlighting. You can tell that she's got it on, but it's very, very well blended. Blending on this face is great. Then I think the most questionable choice is that she's got a dark black fading into green in the middle lip, and then she's put green glitter on top of that. So that doesn't match with anything unless she's wearing green shoes that we can't see. That just doesn't really match with anything. She's got some glitter underneath her eyes, by which I mean like her fake extended eyes, that's kind of a gold orange color. So I think that reads a lot better with the wig that's this blonde to orange fade, and then the clothes that have this orange in them. And then her arms and hands, which are bare skin, have like black paint somewhat haphazardly kind of painted onto it. It's definitely darker around the hands, and then there's less of it on the arms, but it's not solid anywhere. So it kind of looks like she fell into some paint and then like tried to wash it off and it wouldn't come off, it stained, So it looks a little messy. And then the only other thing to talk about is that because she has so much exposed skin, her whole chest is exposed, her shoulders and her arms are exposed. You can see all of her tattoos, and I think they look great. They're not very distracting. They kind of match the look, but because she's got that kind of dirty stained black on her arms and hands, that kind of blends into the black lines on the tattoo. So you start thinking, oh, is which bit's a tattoo and which bits are just paint or dirt or whatever. So I don't think that was in her favor. But overall, I think this is a great look. I think the color combination of this look is great. I think the wig is great, and I think these eyebrows that she's done are really great, and her blending is really great. So overall, great, just great. Next up is Kyne, and Kyne is wearing gold. It's just a very pure gold jumpsuit. So it's narrow around the shoulder straps, and then a V-neck, and it goes around underneath her arms quite low to make a kind of top. That all fits really well. Then it's got a band across the waist to create her waist, and that also fits very well. It's all in the same very metallic, very pure gold material. Then it goes into a pant. It's a high-waisted pant. It kind of flares out around the hips and then gets narrower around the thighs. The material that she picked for this, I don't think was the best material. I don't think it's like a super stretchy material, so it hangs loose when she's walking, like around the, all of her joints and stuff. You see it kind of crumpling up, and that's not great. Below the knee, it flares out It's a very strong flare, so it really goes out like a bell shape, but it doesn't hit the floor. It stops like 2 or 3 inches above the floor. I think maybe it hit the floor when she wasn't wearing any shoes, and with the shoes it looks too short. The flares have gold baubles kind of glued to them, like all over, and then they get fewer and fewer as you get higher up the shin. They don't look great because they're so big. If they'd been really small, I think it would have looked more elegant, but she's just got these big balls stuck to her, and they bang together when she's walking because they're on either leg, and both of her legs have these flares on them, so they're just gonna hit against each other. So that was really unfortunate. I think that was the worst part of her outfit. The shoes that are very clearly visible underneath the flares are gold, and it's a matching gold. It's slightly more matte. It looks like maybe they've been spray painted gold, but it's a matching gold, so I think that was a really nice touch. Otherwise that would have been distracting because the shoes are so visible. For her earrings, she's got baubles as well, just one on each ear kind of dangling down. I think that was good. I think that's the only thing she should have used the baubles for. Just having one of them by themselves, you kind of want it to be big, but when you've got lots of them, having them be big just looks really cluttered. So just the single bauble per ear was a great touch. She's wearing a dark natural black brown afro hair, so it's quite big. It goes out as far as her shoulders and then a little bit beyond, and then it's kind of around fairly equally around her whole head. It's just scraped away from the face, so I think that's great. The hairline is quite harsh, but it's neat. It's just very sudden, and I think with natural afro hair there would be more of a natural looking hairline. It does look a little not natural. Her brows are in the same natural black brown color, so I think that was good, and they start in a natural place, then they go really really high up, and I think that gives her a kind of angry look. They just go like straight up before they flatten out, so yeah, it does give her a bit of a frown. But the rest of her face is really soft, and she's got a highlight underneath the brow that's in a kind of silvery gold, and then the same highlight on the inside of the eyes, which is smart. Her eyes themselves are just kind of black and a bit of brown shadow for a slight smoky eye, but it's all very very soft. And then she's blushed and contoured in very warm colors on the outside, but again it's very very soft. Her lips are in a natural brown shade. It just looks very natural. This is, I think, the best makeup that she's done, except those brows. But the brows aren't bad, that's just a preference. And that's all I have to say about this look, so let's move on. Next to the runway is Scarlet Bobo, wearing, when she was in the workroom, she said all she had to work with was handkerchiefs, and she's come out on the runway and you can tell that all she had was handkerchiefs. So her top is on her right boob. It's clearly just a red handkerchief kind of gathered around it, and on her left boob it's like a blue-green bright cyan handkerchief just gathered around it. Both of them have little ties at the outside top corners so that they can go into shoulder straps. I think the shoulder straps are also just made of the same kind of handkerchiefs. In the middle where the boobs meet, she's braided handkerchiefs together into multi-tonal straps, so it's clear that she had 3 colors to work with: the red, the cyan, and a yellow. So these braided straps are just red, cyan, and yellow together. They start in the middle and they go diagonally to the outside where they meet her waist, which is the start of a kind of high-waisted pant thing that's well, she's wearing chaps that are like, it looks like it's cow print fabric that's cut away around the crotch, so you can see that what she's wearing underneath is like a white panty thing. It looks very neat. I hate chaps, but she's wearing chaps and it does match the look. The pant leg of the cowskin chaps is very loose, but it's very neat, so it's just like straight tubes going down her legs, which is what you would have with regular ones, I guess. The shoes that are visible underneath the chaps are just red. It matches the red of the handkerchief, so I think that was good. She's wearing a cowboy hat in the cow print on the outside and just white on the underside that's around her face, so I think that looks fine. It's got a brown leathery looking band around it, around the middle of the hat, which was probably already part of the hat when she got it, so that looks fine. Her makeup is quite harsh, So her skin looks very blended, but it's very kind of just the one tone of skin, the pale white kind of color, and then she's got a lot of blush that's quite high up on her cheeks. It doesn't look like contour, like she's contoured as well, but she's also got a lot of blush, and it's blended in quite well. Then her eyes just look like black, it's just black. The shadow of the cowboy hat doesn't really help, so all you can see is just black circles around her eyes and then a bright red lip. I think it looks fine, it's just you really can't see any detail in it. The wig she's wearing is the same texture as her entrance look wig, so it's like a naturally kind of curly, but like if you had curly hair but you brushed it a lot, so it's still got a bit of a curl in it. It's the same length as her entrance wig as well, so it's like a bob cut, and it's got a kind of tousled look, so it doesn't all end in the same place. There's bits of hair sticking out here and there, but in a very natural, it's a good looking way. The color of the wig is a champagne-y kind of very pale pink, almost like a rose quartz kind of color. It's great, and it looks great with her skin. It doesn't really read with the look particularly. I guess it kind of looks like a much paler version of the red, but not really. But I think that's what she was going for. She was like, oh, you know, it goes with the red, and that's it. You can't see any earrings, you can't see any necklace, but she's got a brown bit of fabric around her neck, which might be holding up her clothes. It's hard to tell. And then she's got a brown bit of fabric around one of her wrists. There might be a kind of leather or fringe or something that goes with the look, but she's moving a lot, so you can't really tell. It just reads as a bit of brown, which I guess matches with the brown band that's on her hat. They're pretty close. They're not identical browns, but let's not be picky. And just in case I didn't say that, the cow print that she's wearing on her chaps and on her hat is black and white, which is pretty standard for cow print. Her tattoos are visible on her arms. They look great, they're not distracting. Overall, this look is pretty good, and she sold it on the runway. She's moving around a lot. She seems really happy to be there, and that's what you want to do. So we're going to move on. And next up on the runway is Jimbo in one of Jimbo's best looks. Even though I said Jimbo's last look was one of Jimbo's best looks, this is also one of Jimbo's best looks. So she is wearing a, how would you describe this? Oh, it's a dress. Undeniably a dress. It seems to be made completely of zips. I don't know where she got all these zips. They must have just given her a box of zips. This is an expensive dress, because zips are like the expensive bit of a garment. It's like metal, but she just made a whole dress out of metal, I guess, unless they're cheap plastic zips. I mean, that depends on the budget of the show. But so it starts above the breast area, and the upper hem seems to have lots of kind of plasticky, brightly colored flowers. There's red, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Then she has a kind of bustier corset that's just completely covered in zips, so it creates vertical stripes in those same colors, in the red, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Then underneath that, the corset kind of swoops outwards into a big skirt. This is a great skirt silhouette. It's exactly what you imagine. It just goes like straight out from the body in these diagonal lines to about 3/4 of the way down her legs. So she's walking like a big triangle, like a bell or something. It's just this huge shape, and it's completely covered in these zips. The top half of it is in mostly red, yellow, and blue. Then there's more green. Then there's more purple, and then the very bottom has a lot of pink and red. This is really the only place where the pink zips are very visible. Maybe she had fewer of them, so she wanted to put them all in one place to create more of a visual impact. I think that's very smart. Underneath her skirt, you can see that she's wearing white boots. I don't know why, but I don't think they're particularly distracting from the look. You can't tell how high they are because they go underneath the skirt, so they're at least up to her knee. She's made a boa kind of thing, not the drag queen, but like she's wearing it's like a scarf made of pom-poms in red, blue, and green. So it's very busy, but it's also it's the right colors to match with the colors that she's already wearing. So very smart. Then we'll move up to the neck and head of her look, which is very different. So she's wearing a bow tie in red, green, blue, and yellow. This does seem like a lot of colors in a small area, but because it reads with the rest of the look, it's kind of like, oh, of course, that's what you're doing. Then her makeup is in like a white skin color makeup. It's very well blended from what I can see. It's quite feminine. She's got like a natural pale looking brow, and then around her eyes there's a white highlight, and then there's a blue and a green on the lid, and then yellow on the inside corner of the eye, and then the lip that she's wearing is kind of a reddy pink color, so it reads as kind of all the colors of the rainbow but put on her face in a much more elevated way. The wig she's wearing, this is a great wig. This is like a, so if you've ever watched Steven Universe, and Rose Quartz is in that, and she's just got huge rose quartz colored pink hair that's like just, you know, just explodes out of her head into these huge curls and ringlets and everything. It's literally like that. That's the wig that she's got on. So it goes out like 2 or 3 times the width of her head, and it goes down, it covers completely her shoulders, it covers the sides of the bow tie, it goes down her arms and down into the top of her dress, and it's just all these curls. It's great. It's got so much volume. It's all this exact one color, this peachy pink color, which doesn't really match with anything that she's wearing. I think that might have been a choice because it covers so many parts of her clothes. If it had matched too well, it would have blended into it, but it looks completely separate, and you can completely tell where the hair starts and where the clothes start. But this wig is great. And this is like the best wig of the episode. There's not really much else to talk about. She's wearing a tiny little hat on top of her wig. You can hardly see it, but it is in red, green, blue, purple, yellow. It looks more like a gradient color, so I think the hat kind of came with those colors on it already. When you look up close, you can see that her nails are the same pink as her lips. It's kind of a reddy pink. It's not the same pink as the wig. And you can see that her boa has some orange on her left side and some purple on her right side, even though the rest of it is just red, blue, green. And you can also, I think it's made of feathers, and I think all of the things around the top of the dress are feathery as well, but they look fake. They're definitely fake colored. Feathers don't come in that color, but she must have been supplied with some rainbow feathers, and she made good use of them. Overall, very, very tacky, very hard to look at. Every color is there. Somehow, it's a cohesive look. She looks like she is a float in a pride parade. She's not the person at the parade. She's like a float, because this dress is huge, and she looks like she's part of a Disney parade or something. So it's very high impact, and it's also really well made and very elevated for a rainbow look, because we've seen rainbow looks on the show before, and it's hard to do an elevated rainbow look, and this is it. She's carrying like a mask with her on a stick. It's just blue, yellow, red, and green vertical stripes on the mask, just like an eye mask, but on a stick, so it's not very noticeable. And that's all I have to say, so now we will move on. Tynomi Banks comes out, and she looks great, and she's really strutting her stuff, so she's selling it no matter what it is. But what it is a red and black plaid fabric, like a lumberjack kind of thing, that is like a low cut V-line on her chest, and then goes down into nips in at the waist, and then goes down into quite a tight skirt that's quite high up on the leg, so her leg is completely exposed. She's wearing a sheer black tight on her legs, and then at the bottom of her legs is the same plaid material in leg warmers again, that just kind of covers the bottom of her calf and the top of her shoe. It's a black shoe, it kind of matches with the black in the plaid, so I think that's fine. Over the top of all of this, she's wearing, I think it's a denim, but it's quite a soft flowing denim blue cloak, so it starts around her neck in an even lower cut line. It kind of meets at her waist and then goes out horizontally to just cover her arms, so her lower arms coming out of the bottom. The fabric isn't hemmed or neat or anything. It's kind of frayed around the edges, which might have been an intentional choice to make it read more denim-y. Then the full cloak at the back goes down almost to the floor, and it does have a nice neat hem, so I think that's the hem that came on the fabric when she got it, because otherwise why would you hem it like that? But it looks very neat. It's not lined or anything, but the outside of the fabric and the inside of the fabric look pretty much the same. The inside is slightly more pale, kind of a faded color. It would have been cool to put a lining there, but she didn't. Then on her left arm, she's wearing like a sock, a grey and white striped sock around her wrist and hand that she's cut into a glove. It looks almost like a cast, like she broke her wrist or something. It's in exactly the same kind of place and because it's got this grey colour, and then it's like white around the thumb and then white around the edge on the arm, that looks like, you know, they put the white plaster down and then they put a bit of colour around the outside because kids like that, you know. So that was a strange choice. In her right arm, she's carrying a lot of these same socks that she's stuffed, so they're like solid socks. Is a very strange choice, but there's just a lot of them tied together and she's carrying that. I think that's really weird. I wouldn't have done that. The only other thing to say about this cloak is that the top hem of it that goes around her neck and then around her chest has like a fur trim, but it's not real fur. It looks very fake, it looks very uniform in a kind of custody yellowy white colour. It's quite a neutral colour, so it's not distracting really. At the ends of this, just underneath her boobs, above where the cloak meets itself, it's got some cream custard yellow big buttons, and then some kind of yellow gold shiny things stuck to it. It just looks like scraps of gold paper or something just stuck next to the buttons, so I would have lost that. I don't know what that is. I can't tell what earrings she's wearing. They're very impactful, but I really can't tell what they are. She keeps moving, so they're hanging down from her ears, and then it's like a red stripe, then a white stripe, and then a red stripe. They're quite large plasticky things. At first I thought they were like ketchup bottles or something, and then I thought, no, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe they're like red traffic cones. I don't know, someone's gonna have to tell me what they are. They just look like big lumps of plastic stuck to her ears with a white stripe around the middle of a red plastic shape. No, I don't know what that has to do with anything. She's wearing a gold chain around her neck that's kind of, one part of it's tight and then it wraps around a second time and it's really loose and it goes down between her boobs, so I think that's great. I mean, it doesn't match with the earrings because... And then her makeup is great. Her makeup is really great. It's really soft. You can see where she's contoured under her cheeks and under her jaw, but it's so well blended. Her eye makeup is big lashes and then a kind of blue inner corner and then a dark red, very very dark red around the whole outside of the eye. And I think that reads well because the plaid material that she's wearing is this red and black, and if you don't know, when you've got a plaid material or a tartan material, it's like stripes going one way of red and black and then stripes going the other way of red and black. So where the two directions of red hit each other, it's just red, and where the two directions of black hit each other, it's just black. And when one part is red and one part is black, it looks like a dark red, and it's just a trick to the eyes, because if you looked up really really close at the fabric, you would see red black red black red black little threads, but from a distance it just looks like dark red. So she's used that to her advantage and she's put this dark red around her eyes and it looks the same. So I think that was very smart. Instead of trying to do red and black, she just found the middle ground that matched perfectly. Her wig is, it looks pretty expensive, but it doesn't look very styled. It's kind of a dark black root, then it fades into a brown, and then it fades into a lighter blonde. It's got like a natural curl to it, but it's just kind of there. She didn't really do anything with it, she didn't really style it. Overall, I think this look is pretty good. I think it's very high impact with the red and denim blue, and she was really serving it on the runway. She was really selling it. She was swooshing around her cape, she was strutting her stuff, she was looking like a model. She seemed very happy and very positive, and she was sending out good energy as she walked on the runway, and that's really the best thing that you can do. So, great, loved it. Next up is Boa, and she came out overall just very green. So she's wearing, I guess it's a kind of a dress thing, but you know, that's generous. So it's a corset with some shoulder straps, and that's all covered in a kind of a emerald green shiny material, and then there's some bows on top, quite big bows stuck on top of that in lots of different greens, kind of yellowy greens mostly. And then the quote-unquote skirt of the dress is like just literally that same emerald green fabric in a kind of downward pointing triangle at the front and one at the back, just stuck onto the corset, so the sides of her legs are completely out. It's you know, calling it a skirt's quite generous, so this is like a loincloth basically in a matching green fabric. And then the front of the corset has this grey and white stripe. It looks like a ribbon or something that she's just stuck up the front, and then she's got a matching kind of stripy ribbon around her neck, and one's around her wrists as well. from her completely bare arms. Her chest is covered in a breastplate that matches really well with her skin, and then she's got two weird looking cups kind of shapes stuck above the neckline of the corset, so like kind of exposed breasts, and then these weird cups like stuck onto them, and they're gold glittery with this same grey and white striped ribbon around the outside of them. They look very strange. She's wearing stripy socks that are just visible above her boots. It's like an ankle boot, and they look like the same shoes. They're matching shoes, but one of them is gold and sparkly, the same as the weird cups she's got, and one is green and sparkly. It's a matching green with the emerald on her skirt and shoulder straps. I don't know. Nobody mentioned the fact that her shoes don't match each other, but okay. I mean, they at least are coherent with the color story overall. She's got bows on her ears. They're the same size bows that are on her body, so they're quite big. And her wig is scraped back away from her face with, I think, a dark spray around the hairline to make it blend in, and then a very large bump at the top of the head, kind of a beehive style, but then it flows down quite long past her shoulders in a warm orangey brown color. It's a natural hair color, and it looks like quite a high quality hair in the wig. The style I don't understand. I guess the bump makes her look taller, 'cause I think she might be the shortest contestant, so the bump helps her look taller, but that's the nicest thing I can say about it. I think it's quite ugly. Her makeup, on the other hand, is amazing. She's got the softest and yet most dramatic makeup. It's a really good blend of those two contrasting ideas. She's very contoured around the outside, around her hairline and under her cheeks. It's like a very dark contour, but it blends very well into her foundation color, which matches quite well with her arms and her breastplate. It's a little pinker than them. They're a little more yellow toned, but it's not enough to be distracting. Her eye makeup, she's got huge dark lashes that really cover everything except when she blinks. And when she does blink, you can see that it's a very nicely done cut crease, a pale beige whitish color on her eyelid, and then a dark crease in a natural brown, kind of fades into a peachy pink tone. Her eyebrows are also quite natural looking. They're in a natural brown color. They're in a kind of natural shape as well, so I think that's really nicely done brows. She hasn't really contoured her nose or her chin or jaw or anything, so they're looking very soft and natural, but she has highlighted the tip of her nose and the tips of her cheeks in a shimmery white highlight, not to be confused with the way that they highlight and contour with just lighter and darker colors, but she's additionally, in the style of Pheromone and many drag queens, it's an actual shimmery highlight that really catches the light and reflects it. It looks completely unnatural, but it's really good at making the makeup look less matte and cakey, but it's really well placed, it's really well blended in. Her lips are huge, they're in a very bright red. I think that's fine because bright red lip tends to read as a kind of neutral color, so it just goes with whatever you're wearing, so I think that was fine. The ribbon that she's got around her neck has a little crafty gold thing attached to it. It kind of looks like a nice necklace piece, but it also looks like it's made out of paper or something, and her hair has a kind of papery crown in it. It's made of some kind of thick craft paper that's gold and glittery. It doesn't really distract from anything, but if you look at it up close, it's very simple and looks kind of cheap. If you look closely, you can see that the hair in front of her crown is like a natural black brown color. I think that's actually her natural hair that she's sprayed over to make it look more solid, and the hair behind the crown is that orangey brown color, and they don't match at all. That might be why she decided to go for the crown, because it covers whatever kind of divide is happening underneath it. Overall, I really hate this look. Sorry, I didn't sound negative enough about it. It looks really cheap, it looks really crafty. I would hardly even call it clothes. I hate the wig, I hate the crown, I hate the bows that just add bulk to her body and then are also too big on her ears, so it looks kind of just disproportionate everywhere, but her makeup is amazing. She's clearly just a great makeup artist. She's not great at making clothes, she's great at doing makeup, and she really sells it on the runway. She's very high energy, she's joking around, the judges seem to like it, so good for her for distracting from this terrible look. And we are gonna move on to Juice Boxx. So this is one that the judges did hate, so let's talk about this. So she comes out onto the runway, and the overall impression is that it's a two-piece. So she's got a strip of fabric that kind of covers her chest and goes around to her back in the same thickness, and it's attached over her shoulders with some straps. And then a skirt that's very similar. It's kind of just a strip of fabric that is at the front and the back, and has a kind of belt made out of that same fabric that she uses as her shoulder straps. The straps and belt fabric it's like a lavender mauvey kind of color fabric that she's clearly braided to make it into a thicker strap, and that's a very go-to when you can't sew, is to just braid things together, because it makes it look like more than just a strip of fabric, but it is basically just a few strips of fabric, and it looks kind of bulky and it's not flattering, and it doesn't really match with the rest of the look in terms of its like thickness, because she's got this thick strap and then this very thin panel of fabric underneath it. The panels of fabric underneath that cover her chest and make up her skirt are literally just like rectangle of white fabric. It's a matte white. It's very boring, it's very simple. It doesn't really drape or hang in any way, it's just kind of sitting there. I think that makes it look a little on the cheaper side. She's covered it in what looks like broken up CDs, so it's like CDs are made of plastic, like a transparent plastic, and then inside is like a silver foil, so it's very reflective. It kind of reflects in rainbows, almost like a prism. But the shattered CD stuck to your look is such a go-to crafty thing that it really reads. It's very cliche, and unless you've done it really well and really neat, it looks cheap and messy. And for her, it looks kind of cheap and messy. They're just kind of, bits of plastic scattered all over her look and clearly glued on. So but it does make it more interesting than if it was just plain. Her legs are out, she's wearing tights, you can tell because it doesn't quite match with her skin tone that's showing on her tummy and her arms, but I think it's a closer match than it was in her entrance look. That might just be because the skirt is a bigger divide, so I can't tell as easily, but I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she realized that she wasn't matching well and she stepped it up for the runway, so good for her. She's in a strappy silver shoe. It's very nondescript. It doesn't really cover a lot of her foot, and it's just whatever. Her arms are out and bare with tattoos, so they look good. She's got a little cuff around her wrist in a hot pink, which maybe she thought read well with the mauvey pink on the braids on her dress, but they're very different. Mauve is a very dull pastel, pale, cool, purpley pink color, and the pink on her wrist is very hot and bright. It's almost a red, so they don't read as the same at all. She's carrying in her right hand a small disco ball, and this honestly makes sense with the look because the disco ball, like the CDs, is just made of lots of different sections of reflective kind of metal pieces, but a disco ball is solid. It's like completely covered in these pieces, and they're all reflecting very uniformly, so it looks professional, and it brings out the contrast of the pieces of CD that she's got stuck to her dress and the way that they aren't uniform and they don't completely cover it. I think it would have been a much better look if she'd completely covered her look in these CD pieces so that she looked like a disco ball, but she hasn't done that. Maybe she didn't have enough time, maybe she didn't have enough material, but that's unfortunate because we don't get to hear why she didn't do it. We just know that she didn't do it. So we will move on to her wig, which is platinum blonde, a very light, slightly yellow blonde. There's no root or anything, so it's just like a solid that color with a very heavy bang, and then the rest of it's tied up into a ponytail. She's got like scrunchies holding her ponytail up. One of them is hot pink, so it matches with the thing on her arm. One of them is a bright blue, so that doesn't match with anything. But I think the scrunchies is a fun idea. It's very late 90s, early 2000s, and that trend was in a few years ago. And it looks good, it looks very youthful, it looks very fun. The very tips of the hair coming out of her ponytail, which is only long enough to get down to her neck, are in this kind of pale pink, like a rose pink. It's not, again, it's not the same pink as the hot pink, and it's not the same as the mauve on her look. It's kind of between them somewhere. So, I mean, as a color story, I think the hair and the mauve on the look almost match, so I think that's pretty good. And then I guess she was hoping the hot pink scrunchie in her hair would read with the hot pink on her wrist, but it's like the two smallest bits of hot pink, and they're quite far apart, so it doesn't work. They just look like extras added on at the last second to give this look some bright color. Her makeup is fine. I don't think this makeup is as good as her entrance makeup. It's like very simple. You can almost tell from looking at her exactly how she looks as a boy, which is fine for some people. I don't think that's what you want on this show, because this show really likes to talk about the transformation. So she kind of, I'm not going to say she looks boyish. I think her boy look is perfectly fine for a femme makeup look, but she's got a kind of dark neutral to kind of rose dusty, it's quite an old lady color blush on her cheeks, and then her lips are in a, I mean, I guess it's almost a mauve color, but it's somewhere between a mauve and a natural pink lip, so that also reads as quite an old lady thing to do. Her eye makeup is just really, really black. It's just a lot of black. I think she's got black around her eyes and then huge black lashes. The bangs from her wig completely come down to her eyes, so you can't see any color above her eyes. You can't see her eyebrows or anything. I think that was a bad idea, because just, you know, it's your first time on the runway. Show us what amazing things you can do with your makeup. And this makeup is just not her best. And that's the whole look described. Oh no. No, on her other wrist, she has a small lime green something tied around it. Well, that doesn't go with anything. In fact, lime green is like the exact opposite from mauve. That's as far away as you can get, and there's no green anywhere else in this look. So that was just, oh, she did that. So I don't know if this was the worst look on the runway, but it just looks really uncreative and badly made. So that's like just the kiss of death. She tried to sell it on the runway. She tried to look happy. She tried to look cool and relaxed. I don't think that really came across. She seemed quite a small level of energy coming from her compared with the other queens, and I think that was really held against her. So that's unfortunate. But she seems like a really nice person. So we're gonna move on. Next up is Priyanka, wearing a bathing suit. So that really, like, I've said a lot of times that they look like bathing suits, but this like literally is a bathing suit. So she's wearing like a bikini top that has a slightly higher neckline. It's in a dark kind of night sky blue with these little gold polka dots all over it, and then some larger gold circles on it, so it really looks like a night sky, almost like those old, you know, medieval paintings of night skies where they were really obsessed with astrology and stuff like that. So it doesn't look like a realistic night sky. It's like much brighter, much bigger circles. So it looks great. And the gold looks really expensive, and the blue is a really rich blue. She's wearing a bikini bottom in the same fabric with the same circles on it. So I think obviously that matches. It looks great. She's got a sash over the top from her right shoulder going down to underneath her left arm in a navy, which is a very dark blue, and white horizontal stripe. I don't know why. It kind of reads as nautical, which I guess if it's a swimsuit, maybe she was going for a sea kind of theme. And then she's got a weird red and white, just a random piece of netting attached under her right, kind of where the sash and the bikini top touch. It comes out from there and just kind of flows down her right leg to about her knee, but it really just looks like a random piece of net. I don't know what that is. It's nautical, so it's on theme, I guess, but that was strange. But it did give a touch of red, which I think worked really well with this mostly blue look. So you've got the blue and the gold and the white, and then the red, which sounds like a lot, but it works. I guess white and gold are kind of neutral colors, so it's just a red and blue look. That was smart. She's smart. Her legs are out with a lot of padding and tights, but then her abdomen, her tummy is out, and the color match is perfect. Her arms are out all the way down and the color match is perfect. Her face, the color match is perfect. She's smart, she knows what she's doing. She's in a little red pump. That was clever because it carried the red down and it matches. It's exactly the same red, but it's like not really noticeable, and then you think, oh there's red kind of carried all the way through this look, so that was smart. Her arms just have these white crystally kind of bracelets that are wrapped around a few times. Both her arms have that. It kind of covers her whole lower arm. They look expensive, I guess, but she could have lost them and it wouldn't have really made a difference. Her wig is just past the shoulder length black. It's a nice black. It looks very high quality. This is the best hair and makeup that she's done so far. I know this is only her second look, but this is a good look. Her makeup is, as you would expect from the description of the outfit, it's blue around the eyes and a bright red lip, and that was really smart to carry that through from the outfit, but also those colors, blue around the eyes and red around the lips, are seen as very classic and very neutral that can go with anything, but she did match them well, so that was really smart. Her eyelashes are huge and black. So again, that's pretty neutral. She's got a slight highlight below her eyebrows. Her eyebrows start in a natural place and then they're quite severely arched. They're in black as well, which of course matches with the black wig. She's got, when she blinks, you can see that the eyelids of her eyes have some gold on them before going to that really dark blue that fades up into the white highlight. Again, really smart. So gold on blue, that's a running theme through the look. Got a little bindi in between her brows, slightly raised up. It looks like a silver jewel. I guess that matches with the silver arm jewelry. She also has a kind of silver coronet crown kind of thing that's on the back of her head, so it doesn't really interfere with the look, but when you do see it, it matches well with the other jewelry, so I think that was smart. And she's got, you can't tell from a distance, but when you look up close, she's got like crab legs, obviously fake crab legs stuck to the sides of her shoes. You really can't notice them because they're quite small and they're kind of the same red color as the shoe. When she's on the runway, she does pull one of them off her shoe and pretend to eat it and then walk off stage as a crab. That was a very strange moment, but the judges liked it, I guess, because it shows that she has a sense of humor. She's obviously watched the show before, and when someone comes out serving a really great fashion look, the judges say, oh, but are you any fun? So she was like, I'm going to show you that I'm lots of fun. And I guess it didn't really detract from the fashion of the look, so I think this is one of the best looks. Who's next? It's Rita Baga, and she comes out. Overall, the look is very cohesive. Well, there's a definite color story. So she comes out mostly in white, but it's like a slight off-white, like a natural white that you would get from like a white animal. So it is kind of a fur look. So it's a warmer kind of cream yellow white, and then there's a lot of this dark grayish black, almost a kind of bluish grayish black. So overall, that was a really strong mix of colors. She's basically wearing, it just looks like a cloak wrapped around her, but from this, like, it's not fur, it's maybe a felt or a wool or something. So it looks really warm. So it starts up around her shoulders. It's got this big collar piece that's like really thick, squishy kind of felt that fades from white around her neck to this bluish black around her shoulders and chest, and it's got large snowflakes stuck to it, and then underneath that the cloak is in this creamy white color with small like lines of the dark blue gray pattern on it. It's kind of just a geometric crisscross pattern, and it goes down to just above her knees, where it's got a nice thick cuff that it looks like it's been folded over so that it's like doubly thick, and that makes a really aesthetically pleasing edge to the look. It looks very finished. While she's got this cloak wrapped around her, you can see her head popping out of the top, so she's not wearing a wig, she's wearing a headpiece instead. Her whole head from her hairline back is like sprayed with silver glitter, and then she's got like balls, like maybe 7 or 8 balls in a tower on top of her head, slightly tilted to her left. Some of them are silver glittery, some of them are like silver metallic beaded. One of them is just plain white. I think that variation worked well in her favor because it looks really interesting, but the colors are all similar enough that they look very like it's one headpiece, even though it's clearly that she just made it out of a few balls that they were given in the workroom. Her makeup is quite warm and yellow toned. She's got quite a grayish contour on her cheeks, but then none on her jaw. And sometimes when she kind of shivers and raises her shoulders, that makes her like chin and neck kind of merge into one. So that's an interesting thing to do on the runway. Her lips are blue, a very dark midnight blue around the outside, fading to a warmer kind of sapphire blue in the middle. Her nose, I don't think is contoured that much, maybe just up on the higher parts of it near the eyes. Her eyes, she's wearing contacts. You can tell, so it's like a very pale blue contact, might even be a white contact that's reflecting a lot of blue, so that makes her look less human, more kind of, I guess she's going for like an ice demon or something like that. She's got black lashes, but the tips of the lashes are sprayed with this kind of, it looks like when lashes are snowed on. So I think that's the look that she was going for, but it's kind of a silvery snow, which matches the silver obviously in her headpiece. Her eyelid is a bright kind of minty cyany blue on the outside and fades to a pale skin color on the inside. I mean inside as in closer to her nose. Then she's drawn in a crease that's a kind of greyish brown next to her nose, which kind of matches her cheek contour, and then that fades into a bluish black on the outside, which matches with the bluish black on her fur cape. Then above that, the bluish black fades up into that same kind of minty blue and then up into a white highlight. Her eyebrows, interestingly, are blue. So this same kind of minty blue, they start in a natural place and then they just go up diagonally in a perfectly straight line all the way to her headpiece. I don't like this makeup, but you can tell that a lot of effort has gone into it, and what she was aiming for, she's done really well. I just don't like what she was aiming for. I think that she could suggest that she had any hair color, and she went for blue eyebrows, and I think that was a really weird choice. I think a black eyebrow or a natural brown eyebrow, or even a kind of greyish brow that would match the grey on her outfit would have been much less distracting than this, because then the blue brows, then the blue above the crease, the blue on the lid, that's just a lot of blue. It's just, this eye makeup is really busy, there's just a lot going on, and yet it's kind of all these same colors, this blue and then the black and then some white and then the browny grey color for her contouring, which I also don't think was good. I mean, it's done well, but I don't think it was a good choice. I think she should have done something to warm up her face instead of this kind of, if you put too much blue and grey onto a face, it will start to read as kind of a dead body. So that's a really interesting choice to go for. And then the blue on her lips, which I called it like a sapphire blue, is very different from this kind of minty blue around her eyes. The blue around her eyes is a lot more green toned, and the blue on her lips is more purple toned. When she reveals her cape to the dress underneath, it's closer to the lip color, but not quite. So it's like a sapphire-y electric blue. It's like a really bright pure blue. This dress is horrible. I guess she made it herself. It looks like she made it herself. So it's like one strip of material that starts on her right shoulder and then goes down diagonally. Then it's very close to the body, like a tube, and then it's just halfway down her thigh, flat across a hem. So it's like just a really unflattering shape. It makes her legs look shorter, it makes her body look shorter and wider. You can't even tell if she's corseted or not because it's just a tube of fabric. It's very metallic and shiny, but in a kind of cheap way, because it's just this like one sheet of metallic fabric, so it looks almost like wrapping paper or something like that. I will say, when she takes the cape off, you can see that the inside of the cape is all lined with matching fabric with horizontal blue-grey geometric striped patterns going across it. So obviously she had a lot of it. Maybe the fabric came already with a different pattern on the inside and the outside, but I wouldn't have thought so, because it's definitely vertical on the outside and horizontal on the inside. So I think she lined it, and that's really cool. So the cape is definitely the best part of this look, but the dress is horrible. Do you remember on season 9 when Alexis Michelle came out in a fur coat for the fur runway, and she opened it up to reveal a really cheap blue dress and the judges read it filth. That's exactly what this is. This is a really, really nice felted fur kind of moment that looks really, really expensive, and she took it off to reveal the cheapest, ugliest blue dress that she could have possibly been wearing. And she really should have just kept it on and just not done a reveal. And then if you're in the bottom to lip sync, you've got a reveal that you can do to make it easier to perform. She wasn't going to be in the bottom with that look anyway, so she shouldn't have worried about it. She didn't even have to spend time making this dress. She should have just stayed in the cape. Did I talk about the shoes yet? Yeah. And they're like boots, so they're kind of ankle boots, so they make her legs look shorter. Her legs just look really short with this look, so that's unfortunate. Because this the cape jacket thing that she was wearing was covering her arms. She's not wearing any jewelry. She doesn't have a necklace or anything either, so it's just really plain without the jacket. So that's unfortunate, and I really don't like this look except for the fur cape thing. I think the headpiece was interesting, but it's not flattering. I think the makeup was interesting, but it's also not flattering, and that dress is not interesting or flattering. That dress is terrible. So that dress is just horrible. It's just cheap blue. It looks like it's the first dress that she's ever made, and she got a roll of fabric and she kind of rolled it around the mannequin and then like pinned it in place, and like that was it. That's all she did. And yet she can clearly sew, because she made this cloak that's even nicely hemmed. The dress isn't hemmed. I mean, the dress, like the bottom of the dress might be folded up to be hemmed, but she didn't make a feature out of it. And it's also in a really bad place for the hem. Either go longer or go shorter, but this kind of mid-thigh, but it's still really tight, it gives her like the minimum amount of flexibility. It just looks uncomfortable, and also like if she takes a step that's too big, it's gonna ride up and show too much. So just make it shorter, or make it looser, or put a slit down the side or something. It's very, if you remember, what season was Nina West on? And all of her dresses were this length, and it's just the worst length, because it's like, it's not short enough to be fun, and it's not long enough to be elegant, so it's just like not fun or elegant. And I just really, I mean, maybe that's just a personal thing, but I've definitely heard other people say that this is not a good length of skirt. Maybe it is for some people. It's not for Rita Baga. So overall, I hate this look from Rita Baga. And that's it. That's all the looks from this week's challenge. And Rita Baga won. And who was in the bottom two? Lemon and Juice Box. So I think I would agree with Juice Box being at the bottom. I think I would have put Kyne in the bottom with her, and I think Priyanka should have won, or Jimbo could have won. I think that those should have been at the top. I think Rita Baga's look was safe. It was a low safe, and they gave it the win. So that is the first, but definitely not the last time that I'm going to be disagreeing with the judges throughout this entire season. But that's it for this episode. So if you liked it, like it. You can subscribe. Don't feel pressured to subscribe. I don't really care. What I do care about is please give me feedback. Please tell me what you want me to describe or how to describe better. If you want less or more of my own opinions. Sorry, they kind of come out without me thinking about it too much, because when you're looking at something ugly, you've just really got to say that it's ugly, but I don't let it affect how I do. I still describe things really accurately. I'm not missing anything out because I hate it or anything like that. But yeah, just any constructive feedback, it's invaluable, because the only way to get constructive feedback on this is to start doing it and then start listening to the people who are actually using it. So don't worry about being mean. If I'm completely useless and you want me to like redo these in a completely different way, let me know. If you want me to talk more about fabric textures or fabric types, or if you want me to use simpler terms for colors, I am aware that after describing like 12 looks, I start using like more and more obscure terms for the colors, and they might be completely useless to you. They might be terms you've never heard before or you never understood, so let me know. I can simplify it and get more repetitive, or I can do a talking about what colors are and what terms mean. I have a lot of free time, and I like talking about colors and fabrics and stuff, so let me know. It's not a bother. And yeah, so that's the end of this. So thank you. If you got all the way here, thank you for listening. Oh my god, this is so long. This takes so long. It takes me even longer to record than it takes for you to listen, because I have to like keep stopping recording and flicking through the episode to find different views from the looks, because these camera people, they don't like to show the shoes. I tell you that. And the contestants' earrings are like small and hidden underneath the hair, and I'm still supposed to describe them. Hello. So I wish the show was more accessible for me to make it more accessible for you, but that's just this is just a rant, so I might cut this out. But anyway, thank you for listening. I'll see you next time for whatever happens in episode 2 of this show. We're still in episode 1, but at least it's over now. So yeah, bye.